Greetings, fellow humans, and welcome to another wine with JD. This is not going to be a normal occurrence. This is just something I wanted to do for this specific tag, which is the wine tag by Jade the Boho Bookworm. She has a very lovely channel. She has actually two channels, the Boho Bookworm and Bird Songs and Breezes. Both are very lovely, very nice person. If I tag, it's someone that I think they're cool. So, cheers to you, Jade. I hope you enjoy the answers, and I hope anyone watching this also enjoys it. And this is nice wine, but this is actually I'm going to show you the bottle. Obviously, before the bottle, I had to take a sip. This is actually the Seven Deadly Sins. Yeah, blessed be the glare. It's actually a nice Old Vine Zinfandel. It's a bit heavy on the palate and a bit heavy on the stomach, so if you're not really much into red wine, I can recommend other stuff, but I'm not a super wine connoisseur, and this is not a wine channel. Although I do enjoy a good glass of wine or beer or other spirits, but I don't like getting drunk, so kids, don't get drunk. Eventually, you'll be able to enjoy some of this. It's nice, but just don't overindulge. Anything in this life, if you overindulge, is not good. But I am rambling and digressing, so let's get to the questions of the wine tag. I'm gonna say from the get-go, I'm not gonna tag anyone because I don't know who drinks wine and who doesn't drink wine. You might think drinking wine is douchey. You're missing out. I like wine a lot, but I like beer a lot, and I like different experiences on my palate. So why not enjoy it all? But the first question: box wine, a book that people will judge you for liking, but you like it anyway. I gave that some thought, and I think I have to mention Gutmouth by Gabino Iglesias. Gabino Iglesias is another author from Puerto Rico. Great guy, great writer, mad bookworm, but he's a book dragon bookworm. He's a book dragon. He reads nonstop. It's part of his job and how he gets income, but he's an avid and voracious reader. That said, his book is a bizarro novel. Bizarro is a genre that this might be the first time it's mentioned on BookTube, or it's sparsely mentioned. The name says it all. It's supposed to be bizarre. It's supposed to be out there. It's supposed to be in your face. Vulgar, crass, crazy. It's crassy. It's crazy, 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 crassy. Gutmouth is about a guy who has a mouth on his gut. And it is insane. It is insane. It's the first Bizarro book I've read. I haven't read anything in the genre since, and it's because I haven't gotten to it, but I do want to venture back because it is intense. It is intense and it's crazy. It's like seeing someone take a really rude joke to the point where you're comfortable and then take it several notches ahead. Gutmouth is a really compelling read. I did a review on that. It's probably on Goodreads and Amazon. I'm going to look for the Goodreads link and I'm going to link it up. Question number 2, organic wine. A book that doesn't have any added crap in it and is just written perfectly. As with many things, I'm going to mention more than one title. In this case, I'm going to mention 2 titles. I'm going to mention a favorite that I've mentioned many times before and why I'm mentioning it, and then I'm going to mention another one that I don't mention often, and it is a shame that I don't mention often. But the first one I'm going to mention is Dune. Dune to me is a book it is a sci-fi book. It is a heavy sci-fi book, but it has exactly what I needed in that book. When I finished Dune, it was like a heavy moment in my life where I just realized I read one of the most important things that I'm going to read in my life. And Frank Herbert was just brilliant. His first 3 books in that series are fantastic. Specifically, the first 2, and also the third one is a really compelling read. Fourth one is a bit weird. They change perspectives and they do something else. It's still an interesting read, but it's just different. And a lot of people were kind of turned off by it. And then books 5 and 6 are like back to back. And again, a very interesting random read and different from the first one. It's not that they're bad, it's just that they're different, And even by sci-fi standards, they're a bit weird, especially when when you come to expect what you see in Dune and Dune Messiah. Uh, but still, the first and the second book actually, they have the book finishes, and to me, it was such a satisfying finish to each of those books that I'm like, I didn't need anything more or less. I got exactly what I wanted, and it's such a satisfying experience when you get that. And another book that I got that I don't mention as often because it's not one of my super favorites, but I really enjoyed. And then when I saw this question, I was like, it fits that. It's The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. The Graveyard Book is such a fun read, and it doesn't linger anywhere too long. It's a story that flows. It's not too long. It's not too short. It's like Baby Bear Bed and Goldilocks. But still, it's just a book that has such a comfortable flow to it that's that's one of its highlights. Character development is really fun, and the story is compelling. I won't ruin it for you with a synopsis or anything. Please look it up because it is worth your time. And if you like Neil Gaiman's work, you will probably like that one. The one that people don't tend to always like is Stardust because they think it's a bit weird. And although I kind of get that, I do enjoy Stardust, and I haven't read anything by Neil that I don't like. And I'm not saying that, oh my god, everything he does is amazing. No, I'm a hard ass. And if I don't like something, I'll say so. But the Graveyard Book is such a well balanced book, and again, it just flows. It flows effortlessly. It was an effortless read. I didn't have to read nonstop. And oh my god, I gotta get to the end, but I didn't want to stop either. I just wanted it to be a constant read, constant. And then when the book finishes, at least for me, it was the resolution that I went. That's a good ending. There's some open things. There's some things that are some loose ends that are tied up, and you get a satisfying finish. And I think it doesn't add more. A lot of times authors overindulge and remain with a character or with a scene too long, and I felt that at no point in this book is there any lagging, so that's great. Question number 3. Gluehwein. I'm not sure how you can pronounce that, but it's supposed to be a really spicy wintry read. I focused on really spicy, and in wintry read, I thought instead of like, oh, Christmas Carol or something Christmassy, I thought of something that you would enjoy reading with a glass of wine next to a fire, something that you could connect with. And the first, and I think the right call is Pleasures of the Damned, which is a collection of poetry by Charles Bukowski. It is spicy because there are some scenes that are vulgar or even sexual in nature, but still it's so well written, and Bukowski had this knack for just hitting you so hard with either a line or a word. Um, I think as a writer and part time poet, it's gonna be my life before and after reading Charles Bukowski. It sounds like a douchey thing to say, but to me, it did have that much a profound impact, and it definitely shows that that guy was something else, and he was wired something fierce. Um, Again, really spicy and something that I can I can see you next to a fire reading it and reading something really crass and laughing, and then having a funny poem and suddenly getting just hit in the face with a line that really disarms you, and Bukowski did that often, where he would lead you, this whimsical path, blah blah blah, and then by the end he just slams you. Very very impressed by that collection, and I think it's definitely worth the bang for its buck. I've seen collections that are 15, 20 bucks, and it's got 70 pages. My collections, when I'm at an event, I sell them at $10 a piece because I have to recover from the print press and whatnot. I got this collection for like 18 bucks or 20, something in that range, and it's got 500 pages and just some top-notch poetry that has convinced me to to look at my poetry in a different way. Eventually, I'll do collections, but right now, collections and compilations of everything I've written. But right now, I'm focusing on every collection having its own identity, and I like that. But this collection, what it does is that it collects the works and it flows in a way where you see the trajectory of what his focus was on. And the last couple of pages, we're near the end of his life, and it is just heart wrenching poetry. Beautiful poetry, but heart wrenching nonetheless. And the type of things that, even though they make you sad, they give you hope. One of those things, one of those experiences, and it was just amazing. Question number 4. Sauvignon Blanc. A really sharp and aggressive read that you couldn't put down. Honestly, Discworld. Discworld is so smart, and I can't say that it's aggressive, but I can say it was sharp-witted. I could also mention that a lot of people give other people a lot of grief, but Dan Brown did that at least with the Da Vinci Code. People say, "Oh my God, that's an overhyped book." I get it, but I do enjoy the Da Vinci Code, and it's something that I would reread, and it was something that since the chapters were so short, I fooled myself into reading. Oh, I read 10 chapters, and you read 15 pages, but you do that enough, and you finish the book, in no time. But going back to Discworld, it is really sharp and aggressive in a very, in a very sneaky way. Terry Pratchett got away with talking about social commentary for some serious things, but was always so sharp, so witty, so smart about it that most people wouldn't mind, and they would just chuckle and say, "You know what? You got a point." Pinot Noir, a book you didn't expect much from, but ended up getting blown away. I can mention so many indie books, and I think, being an indie myself, I'm not sure what expectations to have with the work of other people. It's not like we get read a lot and discussed a lot on BookTube. It's something that I do hope to change. But I've been surprised so often. And it's not that I didn't expect much, saying, "Oh, this is a piece of crap." It's saying, "Oh, I have no idea. These are indie authors. They're not edited, and who knows?" And I can mention Anatomy of a Darkened Heart by Christy Stratos, Strange Luck by Amy Irene Winters, Bright Needles and the Whisper Collector, which are 2 poetry collections by Anna Ischarchenko, 10 Yen True and 10 Yen Forever by Amanda Armstrong and Christina Sinclair. I really hope I didn't botch your name. Cradle of the Dead by Roger Jackson is an amazing horror read. If you want horror, check that out. And again, I've met so many people with so much talent. No representation. We're doing this for the love of it and for the love of connecting and doing random videos, but also in the hopes that people will give us a shot. And I've given a lot of indie authors a shot. Some have been great, some have been not so great. But guess what? There's some classics I think suck as well. And I just think that when you give certain people a shot, they're going to surprise you. Eventually, they're going to surprise you. So yeah, all of the books I mentioned, and so many others. I'm not going to go on a rant, because if not, this video is going to be half an hour long, and we're already at 15 minutes. So let's keep on going. Question number 6. Chardonnay, a good summer read that was super zesty. Another indie author, Self-Help to Self-Harm by Tasha Michelle. It is such a spunky little book. Tasha Michelle, her poetry that she puts on the blog, she really should put out a poetry collection or another one, because she is brilliant. But this other book is so cheeky, and it's something good to, if you want something light to just go with it, man, it's a great book. And I'm actually going to switch a couple of the other answers out because I'm thinking of more indie people. And you know what? There's a lot of people say, oh my God, this book, Six of Crows, or The Name of the Wind, or Caraval, or a bunch of the other things that are overhyped. And I get that. I get that they're great books, but I want to do things that I either identify with or that I think that I could shed new light on. So, with that, Rosé, a book that has a little bit of everything. How about my books? Um, Self-promo time. Why not? I do think that Only Human and Shadow of a Human, books 1 and 2 of my human cycle, do have a lot to offer. In terms of variety, I have influences of Neil Gaiman, of Tolkien, and I try to. Sometimes it's more whimsical, sometimes it's darker, sometimes it's more fantasy, and sometimes there's humor, sometimes there's everything. I do enjoy writing with a broad palette to keep things interesting for me and for the reader. But apart from that, apart from moi, I mention it often and I have to say it often. Sandman. Sandman is just such an incredible series. It can be so elegant and then so dark and sinister, and have some funny moments and whimsical moments, and have these little details that if you don't pay attention to a panel, you're going to miss out. But it has a lot of that, as does Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings has such great. I think Lord of the Rings, the descriptions aren't that great. I'd have to review, but some of the descriptions come up short. In the Fellowship of the Ring, when they go to this big house, they just there's a big house with windows, and it's like, fuck, man, give me more meat. But in the dialogue and the character development, that's where I think Lord of the Rings really shines. World building, the things that world building is one thing, character development is another thing, and descriptions is another thing. And descriptions, when Tolkien was in it to win it, he was brilliant, and when he not, he would really half-ass things. Like, I forget the name of the house. I'll have to look that up. But still, it wasn't that consistent in that sense. But when he was in it to win it, man, it was great. But there's so many cheeky lines and such sophisticated humor, and it's great. And you know what? Good Omens by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett is also a book that has a little bit of everything. It has humor, it has dark parts, it has some action, it has some suspense and mystery, and you're really not sure where everything's going to go, and it was very surprising often. Question number 8, Shiraz, a full-bodied book that is dark and juicy. Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman. That is such a weird-ass book, but it's so good. It does demand that you pay attention, because it is weird. It is very weird. But still, it transports you. And when you get that, it's so full-bodied. It's so full-bodied and satisfying. And question number 9, Merlot. A smooth, easy read with a soft finish. And I'm going to say another indie author. The Healing Heart by Jennifer Howard. That's actually a romance book. And chatting with Jen, she's a really cool cat, a very mellow person. And this was a nice book because it didn't have all the unnecessary drama and tension. The protagonist has already gone through so much suffering that it shows that Jen didn't want to further the suffering, and it was very refreshing. It was nice, and it wasn't it wasn't overwhelming. So if you want something smooth and easy and nice and something mellow to read, that's a good option. And finally, Champagne, your favorite book. I've already mentioned The Sandman. That's true. The Sandman is always going to be something that I hold near and dear to me, because I do. It means a lot, and when I read it, it shook my vision of literature. And it's a graphic novel, aka a collection of comics. And then I can't close out without mentioning Harry Potter. Harry Potter is my favorite series, is the one that I've read the most. Also The Hobbit. I've read in the Harry Potter series as many times as I've read The Hobbit, which is 4 times a piece. 4 times the entire series and 4 times The Hobbit. And I wouldn't mind a 5th, 6th, 7th, or 8th time. And neither would I mind that with The Sandman. And that's what a favorite book is. It's a book that you want to read again, because it means something to you. So, those are my answers. I'll write down the questions below. If you want to answer them, by all means do so. Let me know so I can so we can compare notes. And until next time, peace, love, and Maki rolls.